And we are going to finish. I promise this is the last activity. And we thought that it was a good idea to end this meeting with a round table, so we could get here invited people that works in cultural institutions and people that work in higher education institutions, meaning universities, doing research on cultural participation, and not only doing research, but having also some experience in how to program from a university cultural activities for young people, right? So thank you very much, all of you. We have 4 invited persons here in the table. And the first one that is going to talk, well, if you see the order, the first one is Patricia Sojo. She comes from the Filarmónica Society of Bilbao, which is an absolutely private institution. They program chamber music, and she's going to talk about her institution, audience policies that they have, problems that they face. The second person that we have is Itziar Martija Recalde, a very good friend of mine, so thank you also to friends for coming and to give support to these initiatives. She works in the Museum of Plaster Casts, Reproducciones Artísticas in Bilbao, which is an absolutely public institution, quite different, and she's going to talk about different activities that they have in order to capture new audiences. She says, you like this very much, and I do, saying that they program conventional and non-conventional activities in their museum. Probably some of the topics that we have been talking about, such as gamification, would be in her presentation. Then, unfortunately, Cristina Ortega Nuere, coming from the University of Deusto, she is sick. There is big epidemics these days, but we were lucky because we have Ana Viñals coming also from the Instituto of Leisure Studies in the University of Deusto. She has been a participant since yesterday, so she has kept track of the contents in our meeting. And she will talk about some of the projects and research projects that they are doing in this Institute of Leisure Studies in the University of Deusto. The University of Deusto, this is a private institution. You can see it, yes, in the other part of the river. And then finally we have Patxi Azpillaga. Patxi Azpillaga, he's an economist himself, but he is professor in the Faculty of Communication in the University of the Basque Country. We invited him because, well, among other things, we have shared for 2 years like a seminar about audience and participation and market research in Master of Cultural Management and Performing Arts in the School of Communication in the University of the Basque Country, but also because he has a programmer. He has been in charge of the proposing cultural programs for people in the university for quite a long period of time. So thank you very much. And the first one that is going to present is going to be Itziar Martija.
Thank you very much for inviting us here. And I will talk about my daily work at the museum. So we are a quite small institution here in Bilbao. We are known for everyone, almost everyone in Bilbao. And one of the real handicaps we have is our location. We are in the heart of the city, but we are in a very degraded neighborhood, and it has a real bad fame among us. So it is a real handicap for us to bring people to the museum. And the second one is, as you can see, we have occupied a former church at that neighborhood, the Holy Heart of Mary Church. So we have to display this plaster casts collection in an environment not so typical for a museum. It's a good one, nice one, different one, and that's a plus for us, of course. And we have become, first of all, a venue for all kinds of cultural activities that are developing on the neighborhood. So this was a show with Down syndrome people. They have a group, a dancing group, Awakening of the Senses, and we displayed this show during the International Human Rights Day, just connected with an exhibition we had at the time in the museum. So we are also very worried about the collection, and we try to display it in different ways, new ways, as well, as far as we can, because we are in this education department service and cultural action service. We are only a team of 2 people, and we project, design, and make this all you can see here. So our collection is a real concern for us to display it, because we have a little room in this new place, in this new venue for the museum. So we have to change the exhibitions regularly, and we have to give a context. We are a plaster cast museum. It was created with a name of education, of course, at the beginning of the 20th century, during the decade of the 20s. And this aim of education is still with us, and we develop all the programs with this goal in mind. So, as you can see, Greece is our main topic in the collection. In Greece, ancient Greece, it's very far away in time and space for us and for students, and it's a challenge in programming things. So, the third basis of this service, it's of course education. We work with a vast range of publics. We cover all kinds of programs, and I will show you now some examples of what we daily offer to the public. As a venue, we have become a place in which to show different festivals of the neighborhood. We are very worried about working with our environment, the place in which we are placed in Bilbao. So we have had different kind of cultural events. This picture here showing the preparation for a theatrical display in which the people, the public, the audience would be seated there around the table and be active participants in the show. The second one, the glass you see here with a person inside it, it was an opening act, an interactive act, and dancing and technology for a festival related to the neighborhood. And the third one, it was a performance, vanguardist one, and that was programmed during a festival called Música Ex Machina here in Bilbao, and it's very, all these festivals are quite modern and quite vanguardist in the city. So this is one of our functions, to be a place to display this kind of shows in the neighborhood. And of course, collection and education goes hand by hand, all together, because we curate our own exhibitions yearly, and we make these exhibitions in order to provide some cultural context to the collection and to help the students to develop their studies in art, most of all. So, as you can see, we are very fond of technology, and we try to improve with our small budget. And we try to create different new things for students. We provide them, the teachers, this, for example, the first one is, it's a microsite we have created for our current exhibition, Florence. It's about Florence and the Renaissance and the sculpture during the early Renaissance. And so we provide the teachers with all this information for free. They have it to download from the web, or we have created, these pen drives to give them, and here inside they have all the information related to the exhibition and different programs we have for them. And the second one, as you can see, is a visit card we created 3 years ago for a different exhibition with a QR code to download this kind of microsite. This image is related to an educational program for the more wide audience, for the general public, and we tried to display our collection in the way it was displayed, well, not in ancient times, in the 19th century here, by candlelight only. So we showed 4 pieces of the collection by candlelight, trying to link them with the way they were created by the sculptures and the way they were seen during, well, most part of the history. And, well, the last one is one of the images we created for another exhibition we had 2 years ago. So, and we work mainly with schools, of course, their main public, and among the schools, most of all, the last degrees, the last courses of the school, the people preparing to get to universities, and as they prepare their university access test, we offered them a 3-season program oriented mainly to this work of art analysis. So we offered them a visit at the museum. As you can see here at the photograph, I'm here. Yeah, I'm one of the 2 people working for this with one of the public schools from Bilbao. And we are working on sculpture analysis. Afterwards, in the second session, we go through Bilbao and we make an analysis about buildings in Bilbao. And afterwards, we have, we have an arrangement with the Fine Arts Museum. So we go in a 3rd session to see paintings there. So we offer them a complete program to prepare the exam, the access exam for the university. But as we are very worried about how to explain this art and how to make them understand which was the context mainly. We work a lot on a historical basis. So every art was created because of something, and we try to explain that, the reason why. So we worked, for example, as you can see up here, we developed a technology, new technology, all together with Technalia. We had yesterday one person coming from there. And, well, this was one of our pieces, one of our plaster casts of the Parthenon frieze, the Panathenaic frieze. And as you can see, it's colorful the way it was when it was created. This is a, quite simple thing with Kinect, with the Xbox mechanism, I mean the camera, the display. You can pass your hand over the chest, for example, of the middle character, or the right one. This is Poseidon in Greek mythology. And it will be shown as Poseidon with his full body. Some parts of it are broken on the frieze, and with his attribute. In this case, this is Hephaestus and Athena. We chose these 3 characters because were the most important in this exhibition related to the Parthenon and to Athena. But it was a way of showing a work of art very actively. It was, for everyone to use it, not touching the sculpture, of course, preserving it. But this is the kind of things we are working on. Now we have a new technological program with motion. We are creating it, developing it with Deusto Tech, with the University of Deusto, to offer every kind of public in the museum, some ways to participate and to understand Greek art, most of all, in a different way, we hope. And this has been all on my side. Thank you very much for listening and for inviting me here.
So thank you very much. After this very inspiring presentation, which shows amazing activity in many different fields, and also a very good integration, so with a tiny budget. I would say that more than small. In relative terms, one might consider that this is tiny. The adoption of new technologies and the cooperation with different institutions in order to detect problems and to adapt those technologies in order to solve a problem. So participation can be richer in some dimension or more diverse. So this is very good. And now the second institution that we are going to listen about this morning is going to be the Filarmonic Society of Bilbao. So Patricia Sojo, she is a musicologist herself, and she is the communication officer and assistant manager of this institution. So she knows a lot about programming, but she knows also this is a small institution, and as she will tell about, but they have quite of a direct contact with their audience. This means their associates. And, it's not, they are not only programming, but probably she will also tell us about different activities, how they are adopting social networks, how they produce a newsletter, which is much more than a newsletter in the sense of advices, and but also some deeper content, essays, a way of educating their people about what they are going to listen about during that season. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting us to be here and to give us the opportunity of explaining who we are and what we do. Do you think it's a good idea if we put some image of... Okay, so maybe I need some help. Well, what I'm going to put now is some image of our hall, because I think it's a very nice hall, so I would like all of you have... O en Google podemos poner la web, ¿no? Igual he sido yo. No, maybe... Or maybe I can do it. ¿Se puede hacer pantalla completa? Si no, da igual, no. Yeah, if it's okay like that. Okay. Well, the Bilbao Philharmonic Society was created in 1896, so it means that now we are having our 118 season with no interruption. Even during the Civil War, we had concerts. It was created by a little group of young people who lived here and who wanted to bring to our city the concerts and the musical atmosphere that they used to have in Europe at that time. So for that reason, they sent some letters to the citizens of Bilbao asking them to join this project. Fortunately, they had many answers saying yes, so they start the first concert in May of 1896. At the beginning, they used the concert hall of the local high school in Bilbao, but as they saw that increasingly, month by month, more people wanted to be a member of the society, they decided to build a proper concert hall. That's the concert hall that you are seeing now. It's our concert hall now as well. It was built in 1904, so it means that this year will be our 110th anniversary of the hall. And that means that it's one of the 5 oldest chamber concert halls in the world. Well, as you see, it was built using the Art Deco style, and we are very proud because its acoustic is very good. In fact, sometimes we rent it to record CDs, and for example, Alicia de la Rocha, the great pianist, did it in our hall. Her first version of Suite Iberia, for example. Also, Harmonia Mundi, Deutsche Harmonia Mundi, come sometimes to record there. I don't know if you know, but Daniel Harding, for example, made his record of the Concerto for Violin by Brahms with the Mahler Chamber Orchestra and Isabel Faust, or La Petite Band record in our hall, Oratorio de Navidad, Christmas Oratorio by Suits, well, whatever. Well, in any case, since then, we organize each year a season which has 32 concerts. So that means that our members come to one concert every week, which is quite a lot. We have got more than 1,000 members, around 1,100. And we have, as Victoria said, our quality, or we have got something peculiar, which is that we work only with private money. We work with the money of our members. We haven't got any external money, only for the newsletter, and that I will explain you later. And well, that's something strange, not only in our country, but only in Europe. As far as I know, only there is in Milan a society similar like us. Maybe the people from Italy here, no? Maybe you have heard of that. It's the Milan Society, Quartet Society, but we are the only two who work in this way. Well, as Victoria said, apart from our season, which of course is our main thing to maintain our members and to try to pick up more members, we do other things, no? For example, we have got this newsletter, as you said, we publish every 4 months a newsletter. It's a musical magazine with articles or essays about our concerts or the international music activity or interviews with the people who come to visit us. We also organize musical gatherings once a month. These gatherings are open. We invite everybody to come, not only our members. And there, in these gatherings, we talk about music. We speak about books, new books on music, or we talk about new CDs, or we watch videos, or even we invite composers to talk to us, or tuners, or whoever. We also organize trips, musical trips, international musical trips. For example, last year we went to the Basque Marathon, which was organized by John Elliot Gardiner. He celebrated his 70th anniversary in London in the Albert Hall. Maybe some of you have heard of that. So a group of the Filarmónica Society went there to do this. This year we will go to the Oyster Festival in Baden-Baden. We will see the Simon Rattle, Philharmonic of Berlin, and whatever. In fact, well, we will try to say hello to Simon Rattle because he came to our hall. We have invited many people like him, Simon Rattle, Claudio Abbado, Yehudi Menuhin, Jesse Norman. Well, practically all of the big names come every year to our hall. What else? We also organize artist meetings with some of the musicians who come to our season, like 4 or 5 a year. So we give our members the opportunity of asking to these musicians, conductors, orchestras, questions about the program they have played, about their careers, or so they can have directly contact with them. We also have got a volunteer program with our members, so in order to involve them more in our activities, so they can go, for example, to go to the airport to pick someone up, some of our artists up, and come leave them in the hotels, or even if we need a piano to rehearse, some of our members can invite them to their houses to rehearse, or so it's very nice for them to meet these musicians. Also, we have got special conditions for young people under 32 years old, and then it's again the Kutxa Bank who sponsored it. That's the only sponsor we have, the newsletter and these special members under 32 years old. And we also collaborate with other institutions like Universidad de Deusto, Bilbao Council, and so, well, this is more or less our way of working.
So, thank you very much. They have a very loyal audience, right? Because this is a society. So probably their main challenge is to capture new people. If there is some audience of the agreeing of audience to performing arts, well, this might be an example and one of the challenges that the Philharmonic Society is facing is that possible replacement, how to capture and open to new audiences, right?
Yeah, well, in a way, yes, but I think that it's also very important nowadays because of the recession to maintain the members we have, no? Not only to look for more, but also to take care of the people who are, because especially nowadays, because in 1896 there are not so many offers in our city, but now there are so many offers that we have to convince them to stay with them. But it's not difficult. As you said, they are very keen on us, and to have 1,100 members, it's in a city like Bilbao, it's not bad.
Yeah, sure. So we will talk about this probably in the round of questions. And now Ana Viñals, she comes from the Institute of Leisure Studies, so they have. Well, she's not going to project, right?
No.
So they have different research projects. They have done research on which are the dimensions of leisure in contemporary societies, about participation, and well, there are groups of the society which have plenty of free time out of the labor market, and one of the research interests is to see how this leisure for retired seniors can be handled.
Okay. Thank you for inviting us to explain how we do in our Institute of Leisure Studies, because we understand leisure as experience, not as an action. So what you say that we have a lot of free time, we have a lot of free time, but we don't have leisure. So we can have a lot of free time, but what we do in this free time. So in these topics we research in our Institute for Leisure Studies. And I am going to present a program, an educational program, and then one of the research that Christine and I, we are developing nowadays. And the educational programs is, its name is Ociovide, and it's a program that is directly, or the target is adults. And we think that the best way to enjoy the leisure time is through the training. And for this reason, this program is, the difference is, it has a part that is a formal training and another part that is informal educational training. In the formal, the adults go to the university and they has lessons about different type of cultures in tourism, sports, music, theaters, but then they go directly to the space. For example, they learn about some museums, and then they go to the museums and they show what is the museum and all the characteristics. And we think that in this way they can learn and they can enjoy their leisure. And in the last year we introduced another lessons that is about digital competences, because we think that sometimes in the leisure experience, not only is important to enjoy in the moment that you are practicing this activity, because you maybe, for example, maybe you are thinking about what you are going to do at summer, and previously you are enjoying this preparation of the travel, of go to a festival. So, and then when the festival of the travel or the action finish, you continues experience the leisure because you have pictures, you have letters, you have things that your leisure experience is during. And we think that the ICTs, the social networks, the digital age is influence the leisure, because the leisure is not only enjoy in the free time. For example, if you are working and you go to take a coffee, it's free time too. And we want to turn the free time in leisure in this space, in this time. So we think that it's a gap in the education training on the educational program in digital competence, because we saw that youngsters or adults, they don't know how to use ICTs or social networks to participate in a culture life. They only use social networks or ICTs to communicate, to socialize, to speak with their friends, but not to participate in the culture, not to show their opinions or to upload the image of the photographs of the travel. So we think that this is a gap in the education in this sense, in the digital competence. Not only it is important to know how to use tools, ICT tools, because we think that it's important to how to learn about the use or how to experience about the use of ICTs. So we now we are doing a research with the Access to Culture Foundation, and we are promoting the digital competence in young people.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. So probably one of the other questions or topics for for all of you at the end is whether if you are also training in order to acquire these digital competences. So for instance, it could be that many of the members of Sociedad Filarmónica did never consider that they were going to create a Facebook profile for nothing in their lives, and just because this is a way of getting and having a deeper communication with the institution, now you are also somehow like giving them some friendly entry gate, so they start becoming digital, right? So the digital divide, which, for instance, for older people, this can create a problem. Nowadays, one day you won't be able to enter into a bank because there will be no one over there to offer you service, right? So, or this might be very, very, very expensive in relative terms. So you are also giving competences to people through your cultural institutions, but this will come probably for later. Because the last presentation will be by Patxi, working here in the University of the Basque Country, and he has an experience. So Itziar was saying, okay, in our museum we even provide training or some additional experience for young girls and boys that are going to go through this national public examination in order to enter the university. They have been working with them, providing them funny and in the action, cutting with scissors and plaster and getting dirty and getting fun. So, but then you lose them. They go into the university and probably they want to become something. They want to become older and more serious. You never know. But the thing is that
some of them, they have come back to the museum and telling us, well, the program was great, really, and well, in case they study something like history of art or fine arts or something like that, they've come back.
We are concerned about economists, the people that we have in our classroom. Do they go back, or they are just learning economics like crazy, so we make very uncultural people. So probably in order to fight against this trouble, Patricia, he has been trying to do things to preserve the cultural habits and making a student or university student keeping their fruitful cultural life so they can interact and they can increase their abilities, communicate, have cultural experiences that match for that period of their lives. So.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this workshop. I want to apologize because of my English is not so good, but I will try to make myself explain to you what things have we done at the university and how I see the problems and limits and questions that programming for students at the university creates. First of all, I would like to say that I was responsible of cultural activities at the university, at the campus of Basque, from 2005 to 2010, so only 5 years. And have to be said as well that the cultural life in the university has changed a lot during the years. I mean, it's changing. The people is changing. The cultural institutions are changing, and the place that university plays, the function that the university plays in the cultural life of the city, of society, and of the students has changed as well. It should be said that in the 70s, 80s, universities were a place for very lively cultural life. I mean, for lively cultural activity, where students found the university the place where they could develop the cultural life that they couldn't develop in the society. I mean, because of political reasons and social reasons. But though that changed as far as cultural policies and democratic cultural policies developed in the 80s and in the 90s. It could be said that in the 90s, universities, our university, and in 20s as well, started changing the way they understood cultural activities. I mean, instead of being the places where students they made culture, cultural policies in the universities, perhaps replicating what was happening outside, and as far as the local and regional governments as well, they were developing cultural resources and cultural activities as well. Instead of being of promoting the same, instead of promoting the activity of the students, they becoming the cultural policies at the universities started becoming based on exhibition and programming of cultural activities coming from outside that were brought to the university by a main reason of proximity. So, I mean, it could have an approach that it's quite similar to the other institutions, bringing culture to the citizens in the place where they live. As they live in the university, we bring culture to university so they could live that culture in the place where they are living. That's mainly what I have seen, what I have done when I was responsible of cultural activities. I mean, we made a cultural programming based mainly on performing arts. I mean, we thought that performing arts were a cultural form that students were not used to see in their normal social life. So universities could be a place where they could see performing arts, theater, dancing, music, that they couldn't see in the normal programming in the local environments. And that was the main thing. A part of that, we made as well summer courses, perhaps summer courses that were something that started in Spain in the 80s, 90s. In San Sebastian, the University of the Basque Country has created a place where they have very known summer courses, and we started in Bilbao in the 2000. Some courses that were directed mainly to art and culture and society, and then we tried to make courses linked to, again, working with the School of Music and about music, performing arts, as practitioners, but as well from the theoretical point of view, cultural programming, etc., different things. That's the experience of that programming is that students more and more they found that the cultural programming that the university was offering then was not different of that of they could find in the society. So the university was not or left was less and less a place where they could develop cultural activity, and they developed the cultural activity in their local environments where they live, really. University had become a place where they came to study, but not a place where they went to cultural activities. Well, reasons for that are various. I mean, it's not just because they changed. A point should be said that the structure of our university. I mean, our university in Biscay is divided in two areas. One is located 20 kilometers from here. That is the main area. And another one is located in Bilbao, but is dispersed in Bilbao. We had not a place of reference like is now the Biscay Aretoa that was created just 5 years ago, just when I left. So I couldn't use this place to program. So that dispersion created as well a lack of referentiality for students, that they didn't identify the things that are programmed outside their faculty as cultural programming that is made for them as students of the university. I mean, students, they focalize their activity to their faculty, and it's difficult, I don't know why, to move them from one faculty to another, even if they are at the same university, and even if they are, for example, in Leioa, in a place that it can take going from one faculty to another 5 minutes. It's very difficult to move students, and even more difficult to move students in Bilbao, where we have the faculties dispersed. So we found that this approach as a institution programming culture from a point of view that is quite similar to other cultural institutions, to be limited in this context. I mean, I think that universities should change their approach and be much more proactive towards the students themselves. Instead of exhibition approach, to look for an approach looking for students to participate, to produce, and not just to consume. That was one of the main points. On the other hand, I still consider that universities, perhaps it's a lack of the universities in general in the Spanish, in Spain, is that we have failed to create a kind of alternative network of cultural activities for performing arts, for cinema, that could be, that cannot go to the commercial structures. I mean, universities are a place that can make or can play a function to offer to local artists and to artists that are not in the commercial or in the mainstream culture, to create, to show their work, to test their work, that perhaps in the future could innovate and could go also to the mainstream. And I think that that is one of the weaknesses of of our policy in general, not just the University of the Basque Country, but the cultural programming in general at the universities. But well, say that what perhaps we can.
Thank you very much, Patxi. Well, probably having only, typically only visual arts and the School of Fine Arts are in the Spanish university system, right? So if music, it's only musicologists which are in the university, so you don't have musicians getting trained in universities in Spain.
No, but musicologists are in a way musicians as well. You have to, if you want to study musicology, you have to have studied music before in the conservatoire.
Yeah.
So not anyone can study musicology if you don't know how to learn music, how to.
Right. But
some years in the conservatoire.
Performing arts and theater, right? So this is theater is also out of the system. So probably people coming from the different universities in different countries have a different approach, and it makes a difference if you want to have not only attendance, but you want to have creation in universities. Probably this is limited somehow by the treatment that you give to this training. And whereas if you are taking creators out of the university apart for very small disciplines, then the result is that creation, junior creation, or this type of creation takes part in other places, right? So thank you very much. And now, questions from the floor. Yes, Beatrice has the microphone, so she will start.
I have a question for you concerning your museum of copies, because this is quite unusual. In general, copies are in art schools for students, but there is one very famous case which started in Paris at the end of the 90s or in the middle of the 19th century, and it was made legal to have what they called a musée des copies. And the aim was to collect as many statues as possible, and then they changed their mind after 2 or 3 years. They closed the museum, then they reopened it again. So what is the origin of your museum?
Well, we were born at the early 20s here in Bilbao, following current all over Europe during the end of the 19th century, second half of the 19th century. Those in Paris, in Basel, for example, there's a splendid plaster cast collection at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and we had a plaster cast museum, national one, at Madrid. Well, I don't know, the city council here, they wanted a new museum, and this is one of the oldest museums in Bilbao. After the Fine Arts Museum and the Basque Museum, ours is the third oldest museum in Bilbao, but it's known to the people. And the aim was only to have copies of Greek and Renaissance art, most of all, for to copy them, to draw them, to offer painting classes. We still are offering painting courses every year, very famous, I have to say. We had a former teacher, he died 3 years ago, at the age of 84, still teaching at the museum. This was devotion of him. And he was known here in Bilbao as the Russian, because he spent most of his youth working at the Hermitage in Leningrad. So, we started offering this kind of painting classes and drawing classes. And when the museum has been was closed for nearly a decade during the 90s, and when they reopened it in the same neighborhood but just in a different location in this former church, well, they created a new education service to offer new programs to the audiences, the guided visits were traditional in all museums by the time, but we try to offer new kind of things, not just a guided visit like you always do it in a museum. So we try to offer with the drawing and all these kind of things. Well, I don't know, the night at the museum with kids from 8 to 12. We organized workshops, slept there at the museum, and have a whole night, a mysterious night for them. Yeah, and for us, a very tiring one, I have to say. And this kind of, celebrating the birthday of the museum, this was a proposal of showing 4 works on display by candlelight. I don't know, quite different things. I mean, we have offered workshops of how to create a plaster cast sculpture, the process of the molds and the creation of a plaster cast, and quite different things. But the aim of the museum, the creation of the museum, was this: teaching art history, and teaching most of all the part of art history that was in vogue at that time. I mean, ancient Greece and Renaissance sculpture.
Paris was more ambitious because they wanted sculptures from the whole world. Yeah. So you were modest.
The one you've shown there, the winged victory of Samothrace, it came from Paris in the 1932. It was made there at the workshop there in the Louvre Museum. And we brought it from Paris. We have very good plaster casts. We have very good copies because most of them were made during the 1930s at their origin museums. I mean, the British Museum, the Louvre, Pergamon Museum in Berlin. So all over Europe, the Uffizi collections. So it's a good. Now it's a great opportunity. You can see the winged victory of Samothrace in Paris. There keep it for restoration till next year. So one way you can see it is here.
So probably this is also an interesting point of view, like saying, okay, nearly 100 years ago, you had to go to the museum, to the workshop of the museum and say, I want a replica, I want a copy of this one, so we can learn about it, so you learn about the techniques, so you can also show the image and the icon. And nowadays, they have that, but this is like, this is just the content, the story that they can tell, because they can show this by developing this, okay, what if we paint it? What if we put this augmented reality so you touch and you see Poseidon? This is this guy here. And they tell stories in quite of a different way, and they have digitization, and they have digital natives, and people that probably are not digital natives, so they can read it in another dimension. So
yeah, we can display our works of art in very various ways. I mean, we can talk about them as, from the point of view of the history of art, explaining the ancient Greek art. We can explain them just from the point of view of the copies, how they were created. And for example, for the next Museum International Day on next May, we are proposing, I don't know how to say, 4 visits in one. I mean, the challenge is to create connections with our collections. So we have chosen 4 works, and we will offer 4 different visits with these 4 pieces, explaining them in different ways. I mean, in different contexts and related to different things.
And you are thinking about a virtual museum. There are a lot of initiatives to translate the museum if the online, if the internet.
Yeah, our main problem is that we have a very short budget. So that we are only 2 people working there for this kind of projects. I mean, the rest of the people working at the museum, they are or janitors or administrative people. So creative ones and education service, we're only 2. And we have to make a lot of things.
Yes.
From the starting point, I mean, we create the idea, we find the idea, what we want to do, and we try to take it to the end. So we have a lot of help. For example, we have one person helping us from a company that created our microsites, for example. But most of the work is done by us. I mean, that picture you've seen with the plan, the ground floor of this building of Florence, the ground floor, it was created by me and was processed by them to create this microsite. So it's really difficult for us because we have a lot of work to do, really. Tomorrow I have to go through Bilbao and a guided visit with one of these groups explaining or analyzing the work of art to prepare the university access exam. So I will be all the morning from 10 to 1:30, I suppose, explaining first the museum, afterwards some buildings in Bilbao. Explaining, well, not explaining, because our visits are, well, a challenge for us also. We try for them to be participants and to, they have to do the work, really, there. It's their exam, it's their analysis, it's their essay at the end, so they have to do it. We are just a mere guide, they're conducting them through the process.
More questions? Anything that you would like to say?
I've said enough.
Come on, you can talk a lot. But, well, anything else? No?
Maybe in our research at Institute for Leisure Study, we saw this is the problem, that the culture is, for example, in my case, I am investigating how young people use ICTs, and they only use as an passive way, not as an active way. So maybe they are developing a lot of initiative about, for example, a virtual museum, but they don't know that they are exist. So I think that I don't know what is the percentage of the young people who go to the museum to visit, but
well, they know they exist because in every visit we tell them, you have this to download from the App Store, the Android store, so you can download it for free. They have a touch screen over there to use it, and we give this information to the teachers in order for them to provide them with this information. So there are different stages of information. We create a small brochure with every kind of exhibition. They have it to take it at the entrance of the museum with all the explanations about the exhibition. They have it to download from the web. And, well, yeah, I have a, well, yeah, I'm used to it. So, and they have it, well, they have different ways of accessing it. They use it, and sometimes special occasions, according to the teachers. They come, for example, to our lectures. We offer them, every month, we offer everyone who want to come to the museum a lecture about a piece, work at the collection. We call it a work of art in context, I mean. And I talk about an hour and a half only about one work of art. So if you let me, I can be here all day. And, well, we offer them something like a lecture visit, or we combine this kind of presentation with an actual visit through the rooms of the museum. And we have a young public also. Yeah, we have students there, and that's great. Yes. For us, yeah, because we're used to get older people there, you know, and we have a very faithful audience. This could be boring for anyone. We have approximately 30 to 50 people every month coming to these lectures, and this for a museum like ours is complete success. And when you see 8 to 10 young people there listening to you and preparing the exams, the tests. Well, that's amazing. It's great, really.
Okay, so thank you very much for all these contributions. So this is the closing. There is not going to be a closing of the workshop, but I think that, well, we fulfilled some of the aims of this project to bring together people that are researchers with people that are practitioners. One of the conclusions could be that even if digitization is bringing us a big horizon of different assets to cultural institutions, even though it would be wonderful to have such a thing such as Nestas R&D digital research, for instance, for this institution that does many things with peanuts. What if they had something else? So even though the big asset of these cultural institutions is the people, right? So the people, professionals that are getting trained, which are learning by doing, which are catching up with the digital divide, which are historians that are learning how to apply this and how to command this to developers and studios and people and technologists and engineers that have been during these days here. So also knowing what you need, or knowing that you cannot deny reality, and this should be in your institution in order to reach new audiences, to treat audiences better, deepen, broaden, diversify, whatever, but cultural participation. So probably, well, this training, well, and we have to be very grateful for these people that work for cultural institutions, which at the end of the day are going to be the most effective tools to enhance cultural participation, or not to just do nothing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Sí, muy bien.
You have the website, and there is just one meeting.